You've been told a lie. Seriously. The biggest lie in all of tech is that the build versus buy decision is a technical one. It's not. Not even close. It's an org chart decision. And today, we're going to unpack exactly why that is. Okay, so let's get right into this. The most critical, the most company-killing problems in software, they're not hiding in a line of code. Nope. They're hidden in the communication structures, in the team boundaries, and yeah, even in the meeting schedules that create the code in the first place. And once you see this, you will never be able to unsee it.
Every startup story pretty much begins right here, in a mad dash for survival. The only thing, and I mean the only thing that matters, is speed. You've got an idea, and you need to figure out if anyone on this planet actually cares about it, and you need to know fast. Welcome to the era of the minimum viable product. Now listen, what's really important on this slide is that one word, learning. Everybody misses this part. An MVP isn't just about building a tiny product. Think of it more like a scientific instrument. Its entire purpose is to run an experiment, to test your biggest, scariest business hypothesis with the absolute least amount of effort possible. So if your goal is to learn as fast as you can, your architecture has to serve that goal, right? And this is why, for almost every MVP out there, a monolith is the only rational choice. It's not even a debate. You are not trying to build a global scale system on day one. You're just trying to get through that build, measure, learn loop as quickly as humanly possible. A monolith is like 10 times simpler to deploy, and you can develop 3 to 5 times faster in it. Microservices at this stage, that's just a fancy way to kill your speed.
But then, if you're one of the lucky ones, something incredible happens. You find product market fit, the company explodes into hypergrowth, and all of a sudden, the very same architecture that gave you all that speed, well, it becomes a giant anchor, dragging you to the bottom of the ocean. Development just grinds to a halt. Every new feature you ship breaks 3 other ones. The monolith has hit its tipping point.
We all love to talk about technical debt, right? You know, those little shortcuts and hacks we put in place to move faster. But there's a deeper, way more dangerous kind of debt that's lurking just beneath the surface. And honestly, most companies don't even have a name for it. Let's break this down with a metaphor. Think about it this way. Technical debt is like a leaky pipe in a single house. Yeah, it's annoying, maybe it's a little messy, but it's contained. One team can go in and fix it. Architectural debt, though, that is a broken city power grid. It is a systemic failure. It doesn't just affect one house. It paralyzes everything and everyone, and no single team can possibly fix it on their own. And this isn't some small, niche problem. Gartner predicts that by 2026, a truly staggering 80% of all so-called technical debt will actually be this hidden, systemic architectural debt. The leaky pipes aren't the real problem, folks. The crumbling city infrastructure is.
And this perfectly illustrates that this isn't just some theory. Every single major tech company you know and love hit this exact same wall. Back in 2001, Amazon's monolith just couldn't scale. In 2008, a single database corruption took Netflix completely offline for 3 whole days. And before 2014, Uber's monolith created so much team conflict and so many deployment bottlenecks that innovation just stopped. Their greatest advantage had become their biggest liability.
Now this is the architect's question. You don't fix a broken city by sending a plumber to every single house. That's pointless. You have to understand the underlying system, the hidden laws that govern how the city was built in the first place. And that brings us to the core insight of this entire explainer. The solution isn't about drawing boxes and arrows on a whiteboard, it's about people. It's about how they talk to each other.
Way back in 1968, a guy named Melvin Conway observed something absolutely profound. And let me be clear, this is not a metaphor. It's an empirical law, like gravity. Your software architecture will inevitably mirror your company's communication paths. If you have 3 teams working on a compiler, I promise you will get a 3-pass compiler. It is simply unavoidable.
Just think about that for a second. Every confusing module, every tightly coupled service you've ever had to fight with, that's not a code problem. That is the fossilized record of unclear team ownership, of fuzzy boundaries, of 2 teams who are forced to talk to each other constantly when they shouldn't have been. Technical debt is really just organizational debt in disguise.
Let's make this really concrete. You see a well-defined API in the code? What you're really seeing is a formal contract between 2 teams. Information hiding? That's just clear team ownership and boundaries in action. And you know that massive, tangled God service that everyone is terrified to touch? That's the technical symptom of an overloaded team with completely unclear responsibilities. You are literally seeing the org chart in the code.
Okay, so if the org chart is what creates the architecture, what if we just flip that around?
This is the exact moment where the world's best tech companies made a massive strategic leap. They stopped trying to fix the code, they started fixing the organization.
This right here is the master move. It's called the inverse Conway maneuver. Instead of letting your architecture be some accidental byproduct of your messy org chart, you deliberately design your org chart to produce the exact architecture you need. You shape the human communication to shape the code. It's genius.
And this is exactly what the best companies did. Amazon's famous two-pizza teams, that's not about pizza. It's about creating small, autonomous teams with full ownership of a service to minimize all that messy cross-team communication. Netflix's freedom and responsibility culture, it empowers small, independent teams to deploy hundreds of times a day. And Uber reorganized their entire engineering department into teams aligned with business capabilities like passenger management to create their domain-oriented microservices. They all built the teams to get the architecture they wanted.
So, let's bring this all the way back to that first lie we talked about at the beginning, that build versus buy question. With this new architectural perspective, we can finally see it's not a simple technical choice. It's a strategic decision about your organization itself.
So let's look at this decision a new way. You build what is absolutely core to your competitive advantage, something complex and unique that you can give to a dedicated autonomous team to own. And you buy the commodity stuff, the table stakes functionality that is basically a solved problem and doesn't require a whole team of experts to manage. The question isn't, can we build it? The real question is, should we dedicate an autonomous team to owning this thing forever?
And look, this isn't a one-time decision. It's a strategy that has to evolve with you. Before you have product market fit, you should have a very strong bias to buy everything. Just conserve all your energy for customer validation. But as you scale up, you have to reevaluate. Is that vendor now limiting your growth? Has that commodity become a core differentiator? Well, maybe now it's time to build. And for mature companies, it's all about strategically building platforms that give your internal teams leverage, not just shipping features.
At the end of the day, you can't escape Conway's law. Your systems will always be a mirror, reflecting your organization. The only choice you have is whether that reflection is intentional or completely accidental. So I'll leave you with this. Take a hard look at your architecture. What does it tell you about how your teams really communicate? For more tech industry insights for your career or business, go to aaronwoobuilds.com or subscribe to this channel. Link in description. Join the Inner Loop by getting in the email list. Let's level up our business and career from an architect's perspective.